What's up, everybody? Welcome to the DFS Dose YouTube channel. Today we are doing a draft on Underdog Fantasy. We are doing the Bubble. It's a $5 entry GPP with 22,500 entries, 100K total prize pool, 20K to first, 10K to second, 5K to third. And we're going to be trying to take that down today. We're both in this draft. I've got the fourth pick. Joey, where you at in this thing?
I have the second pick again.
Second pick. Oh, man, back to back. Both had these same picks in the Mania draft we did for our most recent podcast, which you can find on all podcast platforms. Joey, before we get started, you want to tell the people how they can support the show?
Yep, you could support the DFS Dose by obviously subscribing down below, and then also like the video if you like this style of video. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. We're only at 27 subscribers, so we're going to need a little bit more than that. And then obviously you can follow us on Twitter at the DFS Dose to keep up to date with us. And like Ben said, you can find us on all podcast platforms at the DFS Dose. But all right, so it's my pick at the 1.2. Not going to overthink this. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley.
Solid. Last draft I did here, Zeke actually fell to me. Not this time, so I'm going to land Alvin Kamara, and I feel really good about that at 104. So
yeah,
we'll see how this draft goes. You know, there were some super interesting picks that we saw go in the first one of these that we did. So hopefully some people keep it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is the pretty standard first five with, you know, CMC, Barkley, Zeke, Kamara, Dalvin Cook going as the top five picks, but we'll see some crazy stuff happen in the later rounds.
Edwards-Helaire, I like that at 106, at 1.6. Little less bullish on him in half-point PPR, like Underdog. Maybe would go Henry over him. Hard to decide, I think, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think he has the highest bust potential out of any first-round pick this season, just for the sole reason that we've never really seen a Chiefs rookie running back excel in the Chiefs offense, with Andy Reid, I should say. I think Kareem Hunt is kind of the only outlier, and he didn't have like a great, you know, fantasy season per se in his rookie year, but he's a high risk, high reward pick to me.
It's definitely not the highest bust potential if Josh Jacobs keeps going in the first round.
Okay.
Oh my God. Holy.
Yeah, I know you've been on the Josh Jacobs hate train as of recently, but 1.9 for Josh Jacobs is way too high, especially with Kenyon Drake, Michael Thomas still on the board, even Devontae Adams. But then again, like you mentioned, it is half PPR, so the receptions are kind of, you know, they are a factor, obviously, but not as big of a factor as they would be in full PPR.
Still, even in half, I would rather have, like, Nick Chubb.
For sure.
Like a more talented Josh Jacobs, right?
Yeah, I'd rather have Chubb than Josh Jacobs in PPR or half PPR. I think he's just a better running back with a coaching or a new coach that wants to implement, you know, the play action scheme and run the ball. And Dalvin Cook had one of the best fantasy years out of any running back last year up until he got hurt with the current Browns head coach, Kevin Stefanski. So I like Nick Chubb.
Yeah, running back is already drying up unless you're a big Aaron Jones guy. There's pretty significant drop-off, I think, coming at the running back tier. Probably going to be looking at a wide receiver. Or maybe George Kittle in this next range of picks.
Yeah, for me, I'm never drafting a tight end in the second round. That's just not who I am. So I will not be taking Kittle, but I know you might snag him here at 2.9.
It's on the table for me. I mean, I think that in the history of like best ball tournaments, there's a lot of data that shows that the most profitable start to a draft is running back tight end. It's been the most successful construction, but who knows? You know, this year it's actually loaded with a ton of, you know, high upside tight ends in the mid range that I like targeting as well. Maybe even more so than in years past. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of solid options here. I could go Kittle. Kittle goes, so I'm looking at Hopkins or Galladay here probably. Just gonna go with. You know what? I'm gonna take Kenny Galladay here. I'm gonna do it. Love DeAndre Hopkins this year. I'm not on team fade Hopkins like I know a lot of people are, but I mean, just the target share for Galladay should be absolutely unreal.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm on the clock now, and DeAndre Hopkins has fallen to me at the end of the second round, so it's kind of hard to pass upon him, especially since I'm not too high on guys like James Conner, Chris Carson, Todd Gurley this early. I mean, I could get them, 3 picks later, but for right now, I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins at the end of the second round. So,
interesting pick of Jonathan Taylor sandwiched in between us all the way at 210. In the last draft we did for the podcast, I got him top of the third round.
Yeah,
with that same 3-4 pick.
Yeah, same pick.
Yeah, interesting to see him go all the way in the second. That training camp hype is real.
For sure. And now I am up again, and I have Saquon and DeAndre Hopkins. So I could get a wide receiver 2 here. Could get an RB2 here. Could even go Patrick Mahomes. But I don't have Kelsey or Tyreek Hill. So I'm kind of in like a no man's land right here. So I'm gonna go with a guy that I'm high on. And I just got auto drafted. Solid. Alright. I thought I had 5 seconds, but I guess not.
Oh,
well,
my God.
James Conner at pick 26. His ADP is 26. I guess that's not a bad pick. So,
hey, I'm bullish on James Conner, but yeah, that's kind of funny, honestly.
I thought I had 5 seconds. We might have to run the tape back on that.
Yeah, they skipped your 5 seconds.
They swear to God they did.
I mean, how pissed are you about that? I like Connor. I mean,
no,
I prefer to get him at the end of the third, but I mean, he should have a significant role. They've only got Benny Snell and Jalen Samuels, who's not even a lock to make the team.
Yeah, I like James Conner a lot. I think he's a good running back and a solid fantasy running back too, as he could catch passes, which obviously boosts his upside a little bit. And like I mentioned, I got him right at his ADP, so I guess I'm fine with that auto draft. I was considering him in the first place, but beginning of the third round, I don't know. I feel like it's a little too high. Like you mentioned, I would rather have him at the end of the third round, but I'm fine with that auto pick. So shout out to Underdog for at least drafting me a good running back that has running back 1 upside.
That is fair. I mean, I like the whole Steelers offense to bounce back as well. I went Mike Evans with my third round pick. There's a handful of receivers that I like in that range. Juju, Odell, Allen Robinson, Mike Evans. Just spread the love around, get some exposure to different guys, and, in a league where touchdowns are valued more because it's 0.5 PPR, I mean, I think Mike Evans has a huge ceiling.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mike Evans has one of the highest ceilings out of any wide receiver, especially in a 0.5 PPR format. And Tom Brady finished as a QB1 last year. Actually, QB12 to be exact. Through 24 touchdowns, I believe, with arguably the worst skill position core in the entire NFL. He only had Edelman. Obviously, no tight end, as they were trotting out Matt Lacoste, who is obviously a bona fide scrub, and then just some career backup wide receivers besides Edelman. So I think with Godwin, Gronk healthy now, Mike Evans, and Bruce Arians' style of offense, I think Tom Brady and all of the Bucs skill position players are great picks this year. So,
yeah, Justin Watson, Scotty Miller late.
No
Tons
chance. No chance.
These guys taking their time. It's like you're getting auto picked, and I feel like these guys have 20 minutes each. These picks are dragging. All right, here we go.
I mean,
what do we got?
So it's only 30 seconds a pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on my screen, it's starting at 37. Yeah. It's weird. Like, the people watching this right now, they could see it.
That's crazy.
My clock is starting at 37, 36 seconds. And I think that's why it skipped me. Yeah, 37, 36, 35. Yeah, it's starting at 37.
That's nutty, dude. Oh, man. We're going to have to send this into Underdog to get this checked out.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on, honestly. It's really weird. I honestly think that's why I got auto-drafted. Because, like I said, I thought I had 5 seconds left, but maybe they're just starting mine a little bit late. But who knows? David Johnson, huh?
Yeah, there's some receivers I love in this range, but I think one of them will make it back to me, honestly. So
yeah, and I just took one of the receivers you love because I love him
too. Absolutely. Love Scary Terry. Can't stop moving him up my draft rankings. I mean, just so much upside to get 150, 160 targets this year.
For sure. I mean, David Johnson in the in the 4th round. I guess I don't hate that pick. I mean, you got him after his ADP, which is always good, but I'm not too high on David Johnson.
I mean, there's definitely some bust potential, but I mean, could be potential bell cow for a top 5 offense in the NFL.
True. With this next pick, I'm surprised that this player is still on the board in the 5th round. Mark Andrews.
Yeah, that's solid. I like that a lot. And I might actually be looking at Zach Ertz here a pick later if he goes. So I'm now choosing between going Zach Ertz in the 5th or sticking with a wide receiver that I like quite a bit. And I think that I'm going to go wide receiver and just wait on tight end in this draft. Although Zach Ertz is a big value, I love DK Metcalf, especially in half PPR. Again, he's just one of those guys that can, he's not going to get you 100 catches, but he could easily get you 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, he is a huge red zone threat for Russell Wilson. And, I don't know the statistic off my head, but I think he was, at least top 5 in red zone targets last year.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him sort of become the primary option for Russell Wilson this year over Tyler Lockett. I think that him and Lockett have a really strong rapport, but I don't know. Metcalf is just a different caliber. I love Metcalf and his potential, especially if the reports are true that they're going to start moving him around the, formation and trying some different stuff with him, considering last year his basically sole role in the offense was just running 9 routes and big bodying up in the red zone. So if they're going to start moving him around and getting him the ball more, I mean, sky's the limit. All right. So, we, on our last podcast episode, we talked about, or you specifically talked about how you think the 5th round is the worst round in fantasy. So what are you thinking about this 5th round so far? Guys like J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, Ronald Jones all going, Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. No, thank you. Absolutely. No, thank you. I think guys like Akers and Dobbins and Ronald Jones should not be drafted in the 5th round. I mean, they do have some upside, but I think there are still better players available like Zach Ertz, and then obviously some wide receivers that haven't gone yet like Will Fuller, T.Y. Hilton. I mean, even Keenan Allen with Tyrod Taylor, I think, has more upside just as a fantasy player than some of these guys in the 5th round. But, I mean, this is the range that we're seeing these guys fall to. I mean, people are just trying to hit that running back that, could potentially finish as an RB1 or high-end RB2 in the 5th round, on some high upside rushing teams like Baltimore, Cleveland, and Buffalo. So, I mean, I could see it, but I don't agree with them being drafted that early.
Yeah. I could see it. I like those guys, but I don't know. I prefer the receivers in this range for sure. Like both Seahawks receivers, Chark, Devontae Parker, who just went, I think is a solid pick. Keenan, like you mentioned, Steph Diggs as well.
Yeah.
And some of these are guys that you can get in the 6th round, like Parker just went to 6. Diggs, Allen, Hilton, both Texans receivers, both Bengals receivers are still available.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys wide receiver 1, Michael Gallup, still available.
Excuse me? I think you meant the Cowboys wide receiver 3.
No, wide receiver 1.
I mean, definitely if we're talking talent, Gallup is like by far 3rd on the list, right? With Lamb up top, Cooper number 2.
That's cap. That's cap.
Oh no, brother. I know that I've said this probably 1,000 times on different platforms, but CeeDee Lamb, player profiler comp, Jerry Rice. Come on, enough said. See, I do not like this range of players that I'm about to have to pick from.
For sure.
At all.
This is when things get dry, for sure. I mean, a quarterback is definitely in play if you have, a high upside wide receiver like I have DeAndre Hopkins, so Kyler Murray would definitely be in play for me. You don't have the option of Dak Prescott, so yep, you went Russell Wilson.
Paired him with Metcalf makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm thinking the same thing. Like these running backs, like Coleman, Howard, White, Mack, like I'm not taking them this high. And the receivers, I do like guys like AJ Green, Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks, etc. But they could come back to me. And yeah, like Darren Waller. I mean, I could see it, but not over Wilson.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree. I'm probably going to go with Kyler Murray here. Just to complete the stack with D-Hop. And then I could definitely target some later tight end or later Cardinals wide receivers. But right now I'm going to draft Kyler Murray with this pick. And we'll see who's left.
That's solid. Definitely solid. Like Kyler Murray there.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, I drafted him literally right at his ADP. Pick 71, his ADP is 71. So it's my pick again, and McCole Hardman just went in the top of the 7th round, and they say there's no edge in fantasy. All right. So I'm looking at a wide receiver here to fill out my wide receiver 3 role, and there are some wide receivers that I like a lot in this range. Brandon Cooks.
5 seconds.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks especially. So I'm going to go with Cooks here. And yeah, my time is bugged, so yeah.
Just want to make sure you didn't get auto-picked twice. That's nuts, though. That is crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, filling out the team for me. Got a nice little stack, and I'm liking my team so far.
Now, I could draft AJ Green here. Oh, man. But instead, I'm going to be thinking ahead as to what I'm going to be doing in the later rounds. I'm going to draft Marvin Jones to pair with Kenny Golladay, and I'll be looking to scoop up Stafford at a certain point as well. Although I do think that AJ Green has a higher, overall projection than Marvin Jones. I think that in a format like this, where once you get into the playoffs, having a stack could win you the entire thing. I'd rather just go with Marvin Jones and get exposure to that potential, 2-touchdown week in week 14-15 that propels us into the final round of this, tournament.
Yeah, I like that pick. I like the Lions stack this year. And then who knows, maybe you could scoop up Hawkinson and just have a full-on Lions fiasco.
Yeah, it might be. And especially if I do manage to get Stafford, I think that him and Wilson are solid enough that I will just roll with 2 quarterbacks because they both are really solid quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I was considering taking Christian Kirk over Kyler Murray as well at my pick. And I ended up taking Brandon Cooks. It could be, a mistake in the long run, but I think Brandon Cooks definitely has a higher floor this year than Christian Kirk, and I think his ceiling is around the same as Christian Kirk as well, so that's why I took Cooks over Kirk. I mean, he's probably not going to fall to me. If he does, I'll take him, but 14 picks away, it's not likely.
How do you feel about Zach Moss going at 7-8? I mean, there were some reports this week that he could have a bigger role than expected in the Bills' offense, and this is the highest I've seen him go in a draft.
Yeah, for sure. His ADP is around pick 100. He was drafted at pick 80, as the viewers could see on my screen. And this dude's team, he already has Miles Sanders, Chris Carson, and J.K. Dobbins, so kind of a surprising pick with Zach Moss. But yeah, I'm not drafting Zach Moss in the 7th round like the Cooler did. Maybe he or she has some, information that we don't have about his role. Even though they say it's going to be expanding, I think he'll still be under 10 touches a game with Devin Singletary there and then Josh Allen running the ball as well. And then another complete donkey drafting Antonio Gibson in the 7th round again. Oh my god. Oh.
Man, I just read this morning. What was it? So I gotta find the exact quote real quick, but it was about how great Bryce Love is from Ron Rivera.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard the Bryce Love train at this point, to be honest with you.
He was he was the best running back in college football his last season, of when he played. He was the best running back. He finished behind Baker Mayfield for the Heisman Trophy. He came in second. Ran for over 2,000 yards. Like, he's an explosive running back that can catch the ball, and he could pass block as well, which obviously helps young running backs get on the field early on in their career. And Bryce Love is the most talented running back on the Washington football team. So it's more so just betting on that his talent will help him overcome, the other people in the backfield. And I think it will. Yeah. I think he's a good running back. I mean, I drafted him in Dynasty. When did he come out? 2 years ago. I drafted him. I've been stashing him in that Dynasty league that we're in together. So Bryce Love is definitely a candidate to be a good running back this year for fantasy, especially if you keep on getting him in the 16th round.
In the last week, he was called the legit number 2 running back behind Adrian Peterson and an every down back by Ron Rivera. And if Adrian Peterson's the only person in front of him, then sky's the limit. And right here, I'm going to take somebody who I'm really happy fell to me here, almost 10 picks after ADP, Evan Ingram, who I've got as my, sort of top of the next tier of tight ends right after Ertz and Waller. So I love getting Evan Ingram here. Yeah, it's just super solid at the end of the 8th round.
I like that pick, yep. Great high upside tight end. Obviously, injuries are concerning with Ingram, but I'm going to grab his... I'm going to grab his teammate right here, wide receiver.
Don't tell me you're scooping him right out of my queue right now.
Right out of the queue.
That's filthy. I should have just taken him because I knew. I should have known.
I mean...
You never let me get Godius.
I mean, I drafted him right at his ADP, pick 95, and as my wide receiver 4, I don't think there's any better wide receiver 4 out there than Godius. But right here.
Excellent pick.
Right here, I have another pick. I have about 5 seconds. Have no idea who I'm going to take. So I think I'm just going to go with another high upside guy in CeeDee Lamb. Complete my wide receiver core.
I like that for sure.
Right at his ADP as well. Pick 98. ADP 98.1. So I'm just sticking to the ADPs right now. Everything's falling to me. And that's how we're rocking. So
now, I'm just gonna reach a little bit right now. I don't want to risk Stafford, missing out on him because otherwise, then that would kind of make Marvin Jones a reach, and It's fine. I don't have to draft another quarterback. And the thing is while my team needs running backs, I only have Kamara and David Johnson up to this point. In these types of tournaments, I really like just going sort of a modified 0 RB and just loading up on a lot of the guys who could have bigger roles than we expect. And those ADPs are going to be coming up in the next few rounds, so I'll look to target those guys in the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I like this range of running backs, specifically like Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, especially as your RB3 or RB4, depending how your first 9 picks went, your first 10 picks went. And these are some, guys that will be immediate RB1s if their starters went down, like Delvin Cook or Zeke. So I like taking them in this range just to, hope for the opportunity that they get the chance to start for significant time in the season. But other than that, I mean, the running back range is pretty dried up at this point.
Yeah, I mean, just like on a theory basis, like I would rather take Pollard, Madison, Chase Edmonds for the opportunity that we could get 3, 4, 5 weeks, runs of RB1 production over guys like, say, Matt Breida or, I don't know, Phillip Lindsay, like guys who I think, yeah, they might have more solid year-long projections, but what's it going to be? Like a bunch of, 8, 9 point weeks throughout the year? Like that's not going to help you win a tournament with 22,000 people. You need to capitalize on the potential for just massive ceiling weeks. And those backup guys have it, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. And I mean, Chase Edmonds would be, an immediate like top 5 running back if Kenyon Drake were to go down. I mean, we've heard some talk on Chase Edmonds that he's a starting running back in the NFL. So yeah, I like Chase Edmonds a lot. I think he's a good running back, and if he ever gets the opportunity, he might not let that starting job go in Arizona. So I mean, that's a backup running back who I'm specifically high on, but I don't think I have any shares of him because he always goes way above his ADP.
Yeah, and to be honest, if he falls here to 10.9, he might be going ahead of his ADP once again.
I mean, I don't hate it as an RB3. I mean, yeah, I think he's a solid pick. I mean, Madison is still available as well. But the wide receivers, this is when it starts to dry up, when your top options are Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Deshaun Jackson. You just have to click off wide receiver and come back to that in a couple rounds. You have what?
Is it possible that we're like undervaluing Deebo Samuel? Like for a while I was off of him, people were still drafting him, but now it seems like there's a legit possibility he could be back.
Yeah, I mean, I think he should be back week 1 if I had to guess. He broke his foot like 3 months ago now, so I don't see, how he'll miss any time unless there was complications. But I don't know. We'll see.
I went with Alexander Madison, although I think that if, Cook and Drake both went down, Edmonds would be better. I think Madison actually has some standalone value, and the potential of Cook not being happy with his contract just gives him the lean for me.
Yeah, and you drafted him at pick 117, so, I mean, a couple of picks after his ADP, so I like that pick. And like I mentioned, there's really no wide receivers that I'd consider drafting in this range. So I'm going to go ahead and take Chase Edmonds, who I was just talking about. I'll get my first share of Edmonds, a couple picks above ADP. But all reports are saying that he should have, a role in the Cardinals offense.
Kind of fits with your Cardinals stack.
Yeah.
Low-key.
Yep. That also. Chase Edmonds with Murray and D-Hop. Excuse me. With D-Hop, so. Don't hate it.
Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, Okay. What are you looking to do with this next pick? You got 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 3 running backs, 5.
See, I know where you're going to go, so I could snipe you.
No shot. I'm a mystery. You have no idea where I'm going to go. I could go anywhere.
I could snipe you. No, actually, Well, I was considering T.J. Hawkinson as my wide receiver, as my tight end. 2, all reports are saying that he's just, blowing up camp. He's one of the best offensive players on the field for the Lions. But I'm going to reach for one of my guys this year. I don't want him to fall later than he should, so Damian Harris.
GG's.
Oh, I got auto-drafted Bryce Love. Nice. See, that's a case where this, I don't know what's going on.
That is tough, bruh. Especially because Damian Harris was who I wanted all along, and you were gonna snipe me legitimately. And
I pressed draft, but then it drafted me Bryce Love. I pressed draft on Damian Harris because obviously I think he is the best running back on the Patriots roster, and he's going to be the starter week 1. So good pick for you. And This is kind of upsetting that my timer is messed up. I had at least 7 seconds. It's literally being recorded right now because obviously we're putting this on YouTube. Obviously it's on YouTube right now. People hopefully are still watching, but that's unfortunate, truly.
Definitely gonna have to send this to Underdog, have their team take a look.
Yeah, because
that's rough.
I got auto-drafted 2 running backs, which I'm high on Bryce Love, but I could have got him 4 rounds later.
So,
oh God,
are you saying that picking a guy at 122 when his ADP is 186 is suboptimal?
No, it's very optimal.
Yeah, I feel you. Differentiation. Gotta have unique lineups in this thing. So,
God damn, man. Because I was gonna get Damian Harris and Bryce Love in this draft.
I was thinking the same thing, but
I was gonna get Damian Harris right there, and then Underdog had different ideas.
Hey, maybe Bryce Love will just be absolutely incredible, and you'll be thanking Underdog when you win this, $20K.
Hopefully it works out like that, but we'll see. Oh my God, that's so unfortunate, bro.
Yeah, on the point of Harris, though, obviously we both like him. I think he's one of the best, post 10th round running backs you can target. All indications out of camp are that he's just absolutely, way ahead of where he was last year, before the injury. Sony Michel's not fully recovered. I don't know. Damian Harris, I think, has a ton of upside.
Yeah, I think he is, like I just said, he's the best running back on the Patriots roster. He can catch passes. He's obviously a good running back. Was a very good running back at Alabama, going up against tough SEC defenses, which is always a plus with the elevated level of competition in the SEC. So I love Damian Harris this year, and I think he'll have a huge role in the Patriots offense, especially since Sony Michel is just, he's a bust. Lamar Miller is washed up. I didn't agree with the Sony Michel pick to begin with because, Nick Chubb went however many picks later, like 10 or 15 picks later, maybe even a lower number than that. So I didn't agree with it in the first place because I was always higher on Nick Chubb. Personally, I thought he was a better running back. So I would have rather went there if, I was drafting a running back at that pick 31. But no, he's not good. So, you live and you learn, and then Damian Harris is the future. So,
all right. So right here, I'm gonna go and secure my second tight end, a guy that I'm pretty high on this year, Jonnu Smith. In that Tennessee Titans offense, there's really Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and then question mark. I think Jonnu could be the second target in the passing game.
Yeah, I like Jonnu Smith a lot, but I'm going to go with my second tight end here as well, with a guy that I'm also high on, Austin Hooper.
Yeah, love Hooper. Love him a little bit more in PPR, but I mean, God, this late, that's such a good pick.
Yeah, I like Hooper a lot this year, even in half PPR. I think it's a downgrade, obviously, from Atlanta, but I think the scheme that the Browns want to implement benefits Hooper the most out of any pass catcher in Cleveland. All right, so it's my second pick. Pick 146, and I think I'm going to go with a wide receiver here. So I think I'm going to go with another one of my guys, Paris Campbell.
Solid out, man. I saw you on my screen getting down to like that 0-second mark. I was getting real worried for you.
So right there when I picked, how many seconds did I have left?
Literally, it was ticking from 1 to 0.
Yeah, on mine, it said 7.
Yeah, so you better make sure that, just know that when it says 8 seconds for you, it's GG's. You need to get that pick in.
That is truly unfortunate. Absolutely unfortunate.
Oh my God. See, I went Robbie Anderson there. I like him a lot, even though it is pretty crowded there with, Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore, Ian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey. But, I mean, Robbie Anderson is a deep threat. And, yeah, he may not be super consistent on a week-to-week basis, but he'll definitely have some monster weeks that will, help, especially in best ball.
Yeah, and I think the Panthers want to, implement like an air raid style of offense, which should boost Robbie Anderson's upside, a little bit. And I mean, I think Teddy Bridgewater is a solid quarterback. So I like that pick a lot.
And man, these wide receivers, really all the positions are pretty dried up at this point. I mean, there's still some good quarterbacks. So if you waited on QB, you're in a sweet spot here to just ignore the skill position plays. But you got to go looking for some gems in these running backs and wide receivers if that's what you're looking at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's no running backs left that I would even like to pick. I mean, I'm going to target, obviously, my running back 5. My running back core up to this point, I don't hate it. I actually think it's pretty solid. I mean, obviously, I didn't want Bryce Love that early. A whole 64 picks before ADP. But, it is what it is. We got to work with what we got. But for me, I have Saquon, James Conner, Chase Edmonds, Bryce Love. So I do not mind that. Or I do not mind those 4 running backs for this squad. Actually, I actually like those running backs a lot. But I'm going to target a running back 5 with one of my next picks. And there was one of, Jerick McKinnon just went, who was in play for me, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I like both Dillon and McKinnon at this point in the draft, and they both just went.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to target Baker Mayfield with this next pick to complete the Mayfield to Hooper stack. Hopefully he lasts 5 picks, but then I'll be set on my 2 quarterbacks with Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. Don't really need a third if I have Kyler Murray.
I think I'm going to go ahead here and take James Washington, who, I like a decent amount. I mean, as my wide receiver 6, I think that he's got some rapport with Big Ben, and his second half of the year was better than people realize.
Yeah, I like James Washington a lot. I'm going to go ahead and draft Baker Mayfield, complete the stack, get my 2 QBs.
So you've got Kyler and Baker. That's really solid. Solid for sure. I mean, your team is actually really good considering you got auto-picked twice in, your top 10 picks? Top 11?
Yeah, top 11. Top 11. Solid.
Yeah. Hey, at least you didn't get picked like Geis or Damian Williams or something. Like, they're actually players that are good.
Yeah, I mean, right here, I don't even know where to go, honestly. Have 10 seconds? This is the point where it's like, I don't even know. I'm gonna reach right here.
I like that though. You got to be bold. I mean, this dude Brian Edwards is smashing at Raiders camp. Just absolutely 1,000 fluff pieces a day written about this guy. Yeah, I'm gonna take a guy who like he falls in every draft, and I get it. He's not like the most exciting player, but he's gonna be productive in fantasy. He will be. Jack Doyle. That'll be my third tight end. I do tend to either draft 3 tight ends or 3 quarterbacks in these things between the 2 1C positions. Not drafting 3 quarterbacks with Wilson and Stafford, so ended up with Ingram, Jonnu, and Jack Doyle. Feel really good about that for tight end 1 production every single week between at least one of them.
Yeah, I like Jack Doyle. I think he is just, he's a player that's going to be consistent. He's always going to be there. He does have some touchdown upside, I think, as a red zone option for Phillip Rivers. And, I mean, we've seen tight ends excel with Rivers, Antonio Gates to be exact. So, I like Jack Doyle. The real question for me is, who am I going to draft as my RB5? I guess that's my biggest question mark right now. And it's looking like an RB5 build for me with around 8 wide receivers. So
the running back I'm going to be targeting here, if he falls to me, is Joshua Kelly, who reports came out today that he is, has the edge on the number 2 running back spot, which I think will be a valuable running back spot with the Chargers, considering, we know that Austin Eckler is not going to get 20 carries per game. He might get 10 targets, but somebody's going to be getting, a bulk of the running back touches, I think. And if it's Kelly, then I think he has value. Never believed it was going to be Justin Jackson. There were some early camp reports that Jackson looked good, but I think Jackson is just average at best. So give me the possibility of an upside rookie. Yeah. If I can get him. Still about a couple picks out.
Yeah. I like that pick, especially if you can get him right here. It'll be right around his ADP. Actually, you'd get him after his ADP. And as your, RB5?
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be a good RB5 pick.
Running back is getting dangerously thin. There's maybe like 3 guys that I would consider draftable. And,
yeah, I'm going to have to snag one of them.
Might be time for you to get on Team Raquel Armstead, low-key.
Yeah, that's who I have in the queue right now. His ADP is 201, so it'll be above ADP. But as my RB5, obviously I'm not going to expect elite production out of my RB5. But if Leonard Fournette were to ever go down or get traded or whatever happens with Leonard Fournette that some people think might happen, Raquel Armstead will assume the bell cow role in Jacksonville. So I'm just going to take a shot on him right here. If he falls, and secure my RB5 and then look to fill out the rest of my roster with these last couple picks.
Yeah, and if Kelly gets sniped, then I'm probably going to have to draft Raquel, to be honest.
There he is, guys.
Love to see it. Love to see it happen. Somebody's always got to be that person. I think Damian Williams has fallen far enough out of ADP that he doesn't get auto-drafted anymore. But Geis, at least somebody's going to do it. Now, this would normally be a really good range to target Bryce Love, but someone in this draft drafted him in like 11th round or something. So,
hey, he's going to be a top 6 he's going to be a top 6 round pick next year.
Oh, dude.
Pick right before yours. That's tough.
So savage. Come on, man. Really going to do that?
Well, if you take Armstead, I'm going to take Chris Thompson. So
I didn't want to do it, to be honest with you, but just got sniped. Chris Thompson.
Okay.
Time to get Devonta Freeman or something.
No chance.
Lamar Miller, question mark?
You know? God forbid Christian McCaffrey goes down. He is the starting running back in Carolina. So I'll take him right there as my RB5 as, just a dart throw. That's solely based on a Christian McCaffrey injury.
You don't think he has standalone value?
No. He has no standalone value. With the options that we have, I had to snag him. There was
things dried up real quick there.
I mean, right here, I don't really need 2 quarterbacks or 2 tight ends. I have 7 wide receivers, so I think I'm gonna target my next wide receiver, and I'm gonna go with Mohamed Sanu right here.
Solid pick. That's actually who I had in my queue as well there. So now I'm going to have to look elsewhere. And I'm addicted to drafting Alshon Jeffrey. I know that I'm the only person on that team, but I feel like he could still be the leader in targets when he comes back. But yeah, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. Because I also feel like my receiver core is so solid that I don't even need him. And if he comes back and ends up being the number 1 or number 2 in the Eagles offense, then we sail when it gets to playoff times. And this team is definitely making it to the playoffs, guaranteed.
Who's your 1% owned, maybe sub 5% owned guy that could potentially be a winner?
I love Miles Boykin. I draft him all the time in this range with my 18th round pick. His ADP is 206.9. And really, there's Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown. If Brown ever went down for some reason and Miles Boykin was the number 1, I mean, this dude's measurables are just nutty. And I know that the Ravens added Devin Duvernay, but Devin Duvernay is a slot receiver, right? He's a Willie Snead replacement. I think Boykin will be starting on the outside, even if it is a low-volume passing offense. He had 13 receptions, had 3 touchdowns. This guy's a red zone machine. He didn't get the targets, 22 targets, but I mean, come on. 3 touchdowns?
Red zone machine, Ben said.
I want him on my teams. I want that exposure. There's some other guys in the range that I like, though. If you haven't drafted a tight end, you could definitely look to get Logan Thomas, Joey's pick to be the next Darren Waller, which you should definitely pay attention to. Is Joey was touting Darren Waller before it was cool. So
they call me the tight end whisperer.
They do. I've heard it come out of my own lips.
I mean, I'll draft him with the last pick, even though I have Hooper and Mark Andrews, just for fun.
Yeah, you love drafting 3 tight ends with Mark Andrews. It's your go-to.
It's the wave. Get with the program. Because it's
you always draft Antonio Brown.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he plays in the NFL this year. And, realistically, how much value is he going to provide after his 8-game suspension? And then he could also be suspended for more games after that. So I'm not taking Antonio Brown in any league. I mean, he's just going to sit on the waivers in redraft leagues. So, yeah, no Antonio Brown for me.
I almost feel like I should look that way because of the 2 teams that he's been connected to the most out of teams that might be willing to sign him. It's the Seahawks and the Ravens. And I've already got a Wilson to Metcalf stack here. Say he did sign come playoff time, in the final 3 weeks of this tournament. I mean, hey, that's a pretty unique stack, I think. If you ended up stacking Wilson to Antonio Brown, I mean...
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
There was a report that came out a couple days ago saying the Ravens are interested in Antonio Brown, so it's a no-go on that.
They said they're not interested?
Yeah, the Ravens are not interested in Antonio Brown.
Got you. Only room for 1 Speedy Brown receiver there, and they've already got Hollywood, so...
Yeah, so with this last pick, I have, 8 wide receivers, 5 running backs, 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends. So this pick is kind of just like a luxury pick per se.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I draft a wide receiver 9? Or do I target a running back 6? Maybe take a shot on a guy like Lamar Miller or LaShawn McCoy. Yeah, I think I'm going to draft a running back 6 right here. And, let me get the judge.
Okay. You want to pull our teams up and talk about them for a sec here?
Well, for me, you're kind of locked into going like a modified 0 RB if you have one of the first 2 or 3 picks. I mean, I ended up getting auto drafted James Conner, but I think I normally wouldn't have took him there. And then obviously in that same round, in the 3rd round, you saw Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Le'Veon, Mark Ingram go where they're usually going. So you're kind of locked into a 0 RB strategy, as we've seen before in some of the drafts that we've done, and even in this draft. I mean, David Johnson is your 2, James Conner is my 2, so we're kind of not 0 RB, but we both took 6 rounds off of drafting RBs after that. So I think with those early picks, you're kind of hurting.
And when you're in that top 4, getting one of CMC, Barkley, Zeke, or Kamara, it's that spot is good for at least call it 13 out of the 16 weeks of the season at least. And it's just take those high upside guys late. And with the way the draft falls, there's just such good wide receivers available to you at the 2-3 turn when you're coming from, the front end of the draft. It's going to be guys who all have, top 10 upside or higher, Galladay. You got Hopkins at the end of the 2nd round. Then you have your choice of, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Odell, Juju. It's those wide receivers are so much better, I think, than the running backs available in that range. So it's almost like the clear-cut best strategy you can take when you have one of those first 4 picks, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we talked about it obviously when the draft was happening, but some interesting picks that were made, especially in the 7th round. We saw Antonio Gibson and McCole Hardman both get drafted in the 7th round, which is laughable. Leonard Fournette fell to the 4th round. And the dude had 4 straight running backs: Nick Chubb, Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, Devin Singletary. So he went heavy on the RBs. Don't like his team that much, but
yeah, I mean, and if you guys want to hear some more in-depth thoughts about why we feel like Mecole Hardman and Antonio Gibson are bad picks at this range of ADP, you can listen to our last podcast episode on episode 82. We talked about both of those guys in regards to their underdog ADP and just, no shot.
Yeah, and some donkey took Bryce Love in the 11th round, so there's that.
Definitely going to clip that for socials.
Incredible,
guys. Thank you for watching, though, and make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like the video. We're going to have a ton of content coming out all NFL season, including rankings videos all this week and next in terms of positional rankings and breaking that down. So subscribe and make sure you don't miss a thing. Got new episodes of the podcast every Thursday, so you can tune into that on any podcast platform. And we'll see you around.